Hello, family. Welcome to Stories with Pablo. Please subscribe and leave us a like. It means the world to us. Also, leave us a comment and share this video with your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss our future videos. Thank you for doing so. The late afternoon sun cast a warm golden glow over the suburban street where Lila pressed her forehead against the cool glass of the cafe window. Outside, autumn leaves swirled lazily in the breeze, but inside, her heart felt chilly and restless. She watched a young couple pass by laughing, their hands entwined, the kind of lightness she once thought she'd hold with Daniel. Lila was a woman of quiet strength, with eyes the color of storm clouds, deep gray reflecting every nuance of emotion. Her hair, the color of dark chestnut, framed a face gentle but determined. She wore a soft cream sweater and blue jeans, practical, yet her understated elegance never went unnoticed. Daniel was waiting for her at their favorite table, a small corner booth with a view of the street. He was tall with a lean athletic build, his dark hair slightly tousled from a breeze. His hazel eyes sparkled with anticipation, and the gentle smile on his lips was the kind that warmed her enough to fight the doubts creeping in. "Lila," he said when she approached, standing to greet her and pulling out her chair with the familiarity of years. "I've been thinking about us, about the future." His voice was steady, full of affection. She sat down, smoothing her skirt nervously. "Me too, Daniel. I want us to make plans. We promise forever. Remember?" His smile deepened but faltered a little. "Forever. I mean it." As the waiter arrived with coffee, Lila's phone buzzed quietly in her purse. She glanced at the screen. A message from Mr. Morgan. "Dinner tonight? We need to talk." A pang of unease pierced her chest. Mr. Morgan, Gerald, was a wealthy man, older, charismatic, shuffled in the elite circles where Lila now occasionally moved due to a recent part-time job she'd taken working for a fashion PR firm. She had met him at a gala months ago. His attention flattered her, and his generous invitations charmed her into a world Daniel's modest income could never touch. Their worlds were growing apart in subtle ways, though no one dared speak of it. Daniel worked hard at the tech startup he loved, dreaming of a life they built together from scratch. But Gerald represented the glittering life Lila secretly yearned for, the luxury, the ease, the unspoken power. "Sorry," Lila murmured, pocketing the phone. "Gerald invited me out tonight." Daniel stiffened slightly. "Again? Lila, I don't want you spending so much time with him. It feels wrong." She looked at him, eyes shining with conflicted loyalty. "He's just a client, Daniel. I need the job." He reached for her hand, but she hesitated, the warmth between them flickering like a candle struggling against the wind. Later that evening, the city skyline glittered against the night as Lila ascended the marble steps of an exclusive restaurant. Gerald, elegantly dressed, waited by the entrance, his practiced smile melting into something softer when he saw her. "My dear Lila," he said, bowing slightly like an old-world gentleman. "You look radiant." She smiled, nervously tucking a stray hair behind her ear. They dined like royalty, the richest wine, the most delicate dishes, conversation flowing around dreams, ambitions, and hidden desires. As the night deepened, Gerald's hand brushed hers across the table, sending a shiver through her. "You deserve everything," he whispered. "Not just dreams, but reality." At that moment, the line between temptation and betrayal blurred. Lila's heart tugged in two directions, towards Daniel's steadfast love and Gerald's intoxicating promises. Back home, Daniel was pacing, glancing at his phone, waiting for her call. Across town, Emily sat quietly in her apartment, absent-mindedly folding laundry. Lila's best friend, Emily was different from her in so many ways. Bubbly, spontaneous, with laughter like sunlight in a closet full of bright dresses. Emily adored Daniel, their friendship seamless for years. She had seen the strain this new presence in Lila's life created, but had kept silent, believing in her friend's choices. But now, as autumn leaves painted the streets golden outside Emily's window, the first cracks of a story unraveling began to show, a tangled web of desire, loyalty, and the high cost of dreams bought and stolen. The morning after the glittering night with Gerald, Lila awoke to the soft hum of rain tapping against her bedroom window. The pale gray light seeped in, revealing the room in muted tones, an oasis of calm, but her mind was anything but. She lay still beneath the duvet, the warmth from the night before hardened into a silent question hanging between the shadows. Her phone vibrated on the bedside table. A text from Daniel. "Did you get home safe? Can we talk today?" Lila stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the reply button, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, memories flooded her, the contrast of Daniel's earnest hands that folded hers tenderly yesterday and Gerald's firm, possessive grip across the marble table. The promise of forever tangled with whispered promises of a life she hadn't dared name. She knew today would be the day the rope stretched thinnest between the two worlds she inhabited. Across town, Daniel sat at a small breakfast nook of his modest apartment, his broad shoulders hunched as he scrolled through messages from Lila he had yet to open. The apartment smelled faintly of coffee and old books, its walls adorned with framed photos of them, laughing on a beach, at his graduation, holding hands outside a bookstore, his green hazel eyes clouded with worry and frustration. He rubbed his beard, picked up a half-eaten sandwich, and then dropped it back on the plate, unable to focus. It wasn't just the late nights Lila had spent away. It was a subtle shift, the way she looked at him sometimes with hesitant warmth, as though something precious was slipping through her fingers. His chest ached with a dull, heavy weight he couldn't shake. Finally, he dialed her number, waiting as it rang. The silence was a sharp contrast to the chaos inside him. At her office, Lila's phone buzzed again. Gerald's name flashed across the screen. She tucked it into her purse, forcing herself to breathe deeply, settling behind her desk. Her job at a fashion PR firm was flourishing, yet it felt like walking a tightrope. On the surface, she was the ambitious woman climbing a ladder, but beneath, tension coiled tightly. The cost of dreams lived in luxury was personal. Emily burst in just then, her voice bright and laced with an undertone of concern. "Lila, you missed brunch yesterday. We hardly talked this week." Lila forced a smile. "I'm sorry, Em. Things got complicated." Emily folded her arms, stepping closer, voice softening. "We all know Gerald's got you caught up. But Daniel's hurt. Lila, he loves you, and is scared." The ripple of honesty between them was fragile, like thin ice. Lila looked down, the weight of her secret pressing heavily. "I don't know what I want anymore." Emily stepped back, eyes glinting with a mix of sadness and resolve. Maybe it's time to decide before someone else does. Later that afternoon, Daniel arrived at Emily's apartment, seeking the only anchor he felt was stable. Emily greeted him with a warm hug, but noticed his haunted expression immediately. "They are drifting," Daniel admitted, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter. "Lila barely talks to me. She's slipping away." Emily paused, her laughter fading into something quieter and more serious. "I didn't want to say anything, but I think Gerald's more than just a client to her now. It's like she's living a double life. I don't know why, but—" Daniel's jaw clenched. "And yet I'm supposed to wait and hope? Every time I look at her, I'm losing her to someone else's dreams." Emily hugged him again, whispering, "You deserve to be loved like you love Daniel." That evening, under the sprawling city lights, Gerald's penthouse glimmered like a beacon of opulence and temptation. The air was thick with expensive perfume and quiet power. Gerald sat in a deep leather chair, waiting as Lila entered, her eyes a battlefield of guilt and longing. He rose smoothly, hand extended. "Tonight, no talk of work or obligations. Just us." Lila gave a tentative smile, but her hands trembled slightly. Gerald's gaze was unwavering. "You want more than comfort, don't you? More than the shoes and bags. You want to be seen for the woman you are, powerful, beautiful, unstoppable. With me, you could have that." Her voice faltered, the line between admiration and desire blurring dangerously. "And Daniel will always be Daniel," Gerald said gently, almost pityingly. "But I see you, Lila, what you truly want, even if you don't yet." As the city lights flickered through the glass, Lila's world tilted. The promise of forever seemed smaller than the vast horizon of dreams she'd only begun to grasp. The weeks that followed stretched like shadows lengthening at dusk, slow, inevitable, and heavy with unspoken truths. The gentle rhythm Daniel once knew had been upended, replaced by silences and tense conversations layered with hidden pain. One crisp Saturday morning, Daniel found himself standing outside Emily's apartment. The air smelled of damp earth and freshly brewed coffee drifting from open windows. He tightened his scarf as he rang the bell, heart pounding with a mixture of hope and dread. When Emily opened the door, her vibrant smile dimmed at the sight of his troubled face. She stepped aside wordlessly, allowing him into the warmth of her home, a place filled with soft cushions, shelves littered with books on art and culture, and photos of laughter caught in time. Daniel slumped into the worn-out armchair, running his hands through his hair. "Emily, I don't know how to fix this. Lila's slipping away, and I'm scared she's lost to someone I can't even compete with." Emily sat across from him, eyes steady and unwavering. "It's hard to fight against money and power. Gerald's a king in his world. But remember, Daniel, love isn't something that comes with a price tag." He sighed deeply. "But what if love isn't enough? She talks about dreams, beautiful, bright dreams, things I can't afford. She's changing, and maybe she thinks I'm holding her back." Emily's gaze softened. "Sometimes, the hardest part is accepting that the person you love might choose a different path. But you deserve to know the truth, Daniel, and you deserve honesty." Days later, as the city prepared for its annual cultural festival, a vibrant tapestry of music, dance, and storytelling, Daniel found himself wandering the crowded streets, the colors and sounds blurring around his somber mood. The festival was a tradition dating back generations, embodying the heart of their community, their shared history and dreams. Passing a familiar boutique, Daniel caught a glimpse of Lila and Emily through the window. They were laughing, arms linked, radiant in gowns that shimmered like silk water. The sight was like a knife twisting in an open wound. He stepped inside, his voice catching as he greeted them. "Lila, Emily." Emily's smile faltered, and Lila turned pale, the shadows beneath her eyes deepening. "I wasn't expecting you," Lila said softly. "I couldn't stay away," Daniel admitted. "But seeing you like this, it feels like you're already a world apart from me." Emily glanced at Lila, her fingers tightening around her purse strap. "Daniel, can we talk? Alone?" In the quiet corner of a nearby cafe, Emily's voice was firm yet kind. "There's something you need to know. Lila and Gerald, they've been together, not just as business partners." Daniel's eyes darkened. "You knew?" Emily nodded slowly. "I didn't want to hurt either of you, but the truth always finds its way." Daniel was silent for a long moment. Then he asked bitterly, "And what about me? Was I ever enough?" Emily's voice cracked. "You were everything. But sometimes love isn't the only thing people chase. Think of what Lila told me late at night. She wants a life she's dreamed of since she was a child. I don't think she meant to hurt you." Daniel stood abruptly, pain and rage mixing in his chest. "And you? You stood by and watched?" Emily looked away, voice low. "I tried to keep the peace. But seeing you two drift apart, it hurt me too." That night, Daniel wandered through the empty streets, memories echoing with each step. The first time Lila smiled at him, their hands intertwined beneath a starry sky, promises whispered of forever. Now those memories felt like ghosts mocking the present. Meanwhile, in a luxury apartment high above the city, Lila stood by the window drinking in the view, the glittering horizon a cool reminder of all she had traded. Gerald entered silently, his look unreadable. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. Lila's lips trembled. "Sometimes, but I can't go back. Not now." Gerald stepped closer, cupping her face. "You're stronger than you know, and I'll give you everything you deserve." Her eyes brimmed with unshed tears, part triumph, part mourning. Back at Emily's place, she sat alone by candlelight, the vibrant yet fragile facade finally melting away. The weight of secrets carried between friends, lovers, and dreams lingered like a haunting melody. Outside, the city lights flickered, a universe unfolding with promises, betrayals, and the unwritten stories of hearts caught between love and desire. The bitter taste of betrayal lingered heavily on Daniel's tongue as he stood at the precipice of change. For the first time in years, the familiar rhythm of his life shattered, revealing a raw and vulnerable core beneath the stoic mask he wore so well. The decision was simple yet agonizing, to retreat into the comfort of memories or to forge a new path from the ashes of heartbreak. Daniel's days became a swirling storm of restless wake, late-night training sessions, and moments stolen for silent reflection. His tech startup, once a shared dream with Lila, now felt hollow. Clients came and went, but his mind was elsewhere, grappled with the weight of loss and the uncertainty of the future. One rainy afternoon, a call from Emily cut through the haze. "Daniel, can we meet? It's important." Her voice held urgency tempered with care. Without hesitation, he agreed. They met at a quiet cafe nestled in a side street away from the festival's fading lights. Emily looked radiant, her usual brightness tempered by seriousness that caught Daniel's attention. "I've been thinking," she began, stirring her coffee nervously. "About us. About you." Daniel regarded her cautiously. "Me? Emily, after all that's happened." She held up a hand, silencing him gently. "I know it's complicated, but you've been my closest friend, and I'm tired of watching you suffer in silence. Maybe it's time to let someone new in, someone who sees you for who you are." He shook his head, a small smile breaking through. "I'm not sure I have that kind of heart left." Emily's eyes glistened. "You do, and you don't have to face this alone." Meanwhile, Lila's world glittered with opulence but felt hollow beneath the surface. Gerald's attentions had grown possessive, his charm increasingly laced with control. The dreams she had once chased with unbridled hope now felt like gilded cages. One evening, as a storm raged outside her penthouse windows, Lila sat by the fire, wrapped in silken solitude. Gerald poured 2 glasses of aged whiskey and joined her on the plush couch. "Why the silence?" he asked, voice low. Lila's eyes met his, fierce but weary. "Because I'm scared. Of losing myself." Gerald's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "You won't lose who you are with me. I'll protect you." But in the depths of her soul, Lila wondered if protection meant possession, and what freedom looked like in a world paved with luxury and secrets. Back in the heart of the city, Emily found herself caught between loyalty and desire. Her long-time friendship with Lila blurred as whispered confidences turned into hesitant revelations. For the first time, she realized how deeply intertwined their lives had become, and the perilous cost of dreams lived at another's expense. Late one night, Emily sat at her desk, penning a letter neither she nor Daniel would likely send. Sometimes love means letting go, even when it breaks you. But in the letting go, we find new strength. I hope you find yours, Daniel, whether it's beside me or on a path we don't yet see. As the cultural festival came to its vibrant close, the city pulsed with stories of loss, hope, and transformation. Daniel stood beneath the ancient oak in the town square, its branches reaching like arms embracing change. He felt an ember of something new flicker within, a fragile promise of healing and the courage to love again. The early morning light spilled softly through the blinds of Daniel's apartment, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. He sat in silence, staring at a handwritten note from Emily, folded neatly on the table, a quiet confession wrapped in tentative hope. For days, Daniel wrestled with the ghosts of the past, the jagged edges of betrayal, and the flickering possibility of something new. His heart was a battlefield where loyalty, pain, and longing clashed, each moment weighted with the gravity of what was lost and what might yet be found. Emily arrived at his door that day unannounced, her bright eyes masked with vulnerability. She smelled of jasmine and rain, an intoxicating mix of comfort and complication. "May I come in?" she asked softly. Daniel nodded, stepping aside, his breath catching in the quiet intimacy of the moment. They sat across from each other, like 2 dancers hesitant to move but compelled by a force beyond their control. "Daniel," Emily began, "I don't want to rush anything. I just want you to know that I'm here, for whatever you need." He reached for her hand slowly, their fingers intertwining, bridging the space time had carved between them. "I'm scared, scared to trust again." His voice was rough, laden with honest fear. Emily smiled gently. "We all are, but sometimes we're stronger than we think." Meanwhile, Lila faced a storm of a different kind. The luxury penthouse that once promised refuge now felt more like a gilded cage. Gerald's love had shifted into something darker, possessive, demanding. One night, after another tense dinner where his temper flared over trivialities, Lila retreated to the sanctuary of her room, tears tracing quiet paths down her cheeks. She looked into the mirror, searching for the woman she once was, a girl with dreams too big for small towns, too wild to be tamed. "This isn't who I wanted to be," she whispered to her reflection. The phone rang, Gerald's name flashing. She hesitated, then let it go to voicemail. In the same city, the annual cultural festival's after-party was alive with music, wine, and whispered conversations. Daniel and Emily attended together, their connection a soft glow amidst the swirling crowd. At one point, Emily pulled Daniel aside beneath the glowing lanterns hanging from ancient oaks. "Look around," she said, voice low. "This is life, messy, imperfect, but ours. We don't have to be perfect to find happiness." Daniel smiled for the first time in weeks, the weight of the past giving way just enough to breathe. Back in her penthouse, Lila packed a small bag slowly, deliberately. She took one last look around the room, the memories folded into expensive furniture and silent walls. A knock at the door startled her. Gerald stood there, eyes dark with a mix of anger and desperation. "Where are you going, Lila?" She straightened, resolve hardening in her gaze. "Where I need to be. Free." He stepped forward, voice low but dangerous. "You won't find freedom without me." She met him without flinching. "Maybe I don't want your kind of freedom." That night, as the city slept beneath a sky heavy with stars, three lives stood at crossroads, each bound by love, longing, and the quest for their true selves. The past whispered in shadows, but the future beckoned with uncertain promise. The dawn crept softly across the cityscape, casting elongated shadows of towering buildings onto quiet streets. Lila stood in the dim light of her rented apartment, her first refuge after escaping the gilded prison of Gerald's penthouse. The air smelled faintly of fresh paint and possibility, but the heaviness within her chest remained. Her fingers trembled as she unpacked a worn leather journal, its pages filled with dreams and fears penned during restless nights. She traced the faded ink of an old entry, remembering the hopeful girl who once believed love and freedom could coexist. Across town, Daniel and Emily's relationship deepened in the wake of shattered bonds. Their friendship, once a haven, blossomed into tentative romance defined by whispered confessions and stolen moments. One rainy evening, Daniel reached Emily's door, drenched with smiling, holding an umbrella as a peace offering. "Caught in the storm again," she teased, opening the door. He nodded, stepping inside. "Maybe the rain's just what I needed to wash away the past." Emily wrapped a warm blanket around him, their eyes meeting with unspoken understanding. "We build new dreams from the ashes, Danny, together." Lila found solace in old traditions, immersing herself in the cultural festival now in full swing. The festival was a river of life, rushing with stories of resilience, community, and renewal. She wandered among vibrant stalls, the scent of spiced foods, and music that echoed the heartbeat of her shared heritage. At a storytelling tent, a wizened elder spoke of courage in the face of betrayal, a narrative that resonated deeply within her. Later, beneath a canopy of stars, Lila met Amal, a community organizer and fierce advocate for women's rights. Their conversations blossomed into a mentorship that fueled Lila's growing passion for independence and self-worth. Meanwhile, Gerald's world cracked under the weight of his loss. His charm turned to bitterness, and his control slipped like sand through fingers. Alone in his penthouse, surrounded by luxury that no longer comforted, he faced the emptiness his obsession had wrought. Gerald picked up his phone, calling a distant confidant. "She left. Everything I built, gone." In quiet moments, Daniel and Emily planned their future, small, earnest steps toward rebuilding what love had nearly destroyed. "Let's commit to honesty," Daniel said one night, holding Emily's hands. "No more secrets." Emily smiled softly. "No more shadows, only light." Their kisses tasted of hope, their embrace a promise that healing was possible, even after heartbreak. As the festival reached its crescendo with drum beats vibrating through the earth, Lila stood on stage, sharing her own story of pain, strength, and transformation. Her voice wavered but grew steadier with every word. "For too long, I lived for the dreams of others," she said. "But now, I choose to dream for myself, to live free on my own terms." The crowd erupted in applause, a chorus of support echoing through the night. That night, three souls, once intertwined in a web of love and deception, faced the dawn with fragile hearts and new beginnings. The path of healing is rarely smooth. Despite the fragile new beginnings, past wounds bled through the cracks of Daniel, Emily, and Lila's lives, reminding them of the price their hearts had paid. Daniel woke in the early hours to the haunting echo of a dream where Lila's laughter was intertwined with Gerald's promises. The dreams were vivid and painful, a stark reminder that moving on was not forgetting. At work, his valor was tested when a potential investor, impressed with the startup's progress, asked about his personal life. Daniel forced a smile. "I'm focused on the future." But beneath the surface, doubts gnawed. Was he ready to love again? Could he truly share his scarred heart? Emily, too, battled her own ghosts. Nights spent alone in her apartment revealed cracks in her confidence. The warmth that blossomed between her and Daniel sometimes felt fragile against the weight of secrets kept and promises broken. During a community meeting, as she spoke passionately about women supporting women, her voice faltered when asked about her relationship. "It's complicated," she admitted quietly, eyes meeting Daniel's from across the room. Lila's new life was far from easy. The independence she so desperately craved came with sacrifices. Bills, uncertain work, and whispers of judgment followed her like shadows. Gerald's influence lingered. Friends were distant, doors closed. One afternoon, Amal found her sobbing quietly under a fig tree in the park. "You're not alone," Amal said, sitting beside her. "Freedom comes with struggle, but each step forward is a victory." Encouraged, Lila began organizing workshops to empower women, transforming her pain into purpose. As she spoke at her first event, her voice grew stronger, her story resonating with many who had faced similar battles. The tension between past and future resurfaced sharply when Lila received an unexpected invitation, Daniel's wedding announcement, sent not by him but by Emily. Conflicted emotions roiled within her. Sense of loss, betrayal, but also a strange relief. Maybe their stories had finally reached their end. Daniel and Emily's wedding day arrived like a fragile bloom. The ceremony was intimate, a gathering of close friends and family beneath a canopy of jasmine and fairy lights. As they exchanged vows, the air was thick with unspoken forgiveness and cautious hope. "I promise to cherish every moment, scars and all," Daniel whispered. Emily smiled through tears. "And I promise to walk this path with you, step by step." Meanwhile, Lila stood at the edge of the park, watching the distant cheer of celebration. She wrapped a scarf tighter around her neck, the cool breeze shifting leaves like fleeting memories. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time, she believed in the power of her own story, not as a stolen dream but as a defiant, shining truth. The city awoke beneath a soft mist, the morning air carrying the scent of rain and new beginnings. Time had stretched and folded in ways none of them could have foreseen. Wounds had begun to heal, but the echoes of the past still hummed softly beneath their lives. Lila walked through the bustling community center she had helped build, walls bursting with color, vibrant murals telling stories of resilience and hope. The women she'd mentored moved around her, their faces bright with the power of shared experience. Her own reflection smiled back from a cracked mirror in the corner, a woman transformed, no longer the girl stolen by promises but the queen of her own destiny. A gentle hand on her shoulder made her look up. Amal's eyes shone with pride. "You've come so far." Lila nodded. "And I still have a long way to go. But now, I'm not afraid." In a quiet cafe, Daniel and Emily sat close, their hands intertwined across a worn wooden table. The air between them was warm with love tempered by hard lessons. "We both broken and rebuilt," Daniel said, voice steady. "And somehow that makes us stronger." Emily smiled, heart swelling with the promise of shared tomorrows. Yet fate is never simple. One evening, as Lila prepared to speak at a citywide event celebrating women's empowerment, a familiar figure stepped into the auditorium. Gerald. His face was etched with regret, a man stripped of power but haunted by loss. After her speech, their eyes met. Time held its breath. "I was wrong," Gerald admitted quietly. "Not about you, but about what possession means. You're not mine. You never were." Lila's heart wavered, but her voice was firm. "Thank you for finally seeing me. But I'm not the girl who needed saving." In that exchange, years of pain and twisted love unwound. Daniel's phone buzzed with a message from Lila. Simple, unexpected. "Together, we dreamed. Now, separately, we live. May your journey be kind." He read it twice, a bittersweet smile breaking through. The edges of his past weren't forgotten but woven into the fabric of his future with Emily. Months later, under the wide African sky, Lila stood before a new audience, a university class eager to learn from her journey. She spoke candidly about love, loss, and the strength found in owning one's story. Her voice, once trembling, now carried the steady rhythm of a woman who had walked through fire and emerged unbroken. In the delicate twilight of their intertwined lives, Daniel, Emily, and Lila found not just new beginnings but the courage to embrace their truths. Some dreams were stolen, some hearts broken, but in the end, the most profound freedom came from the choices forged in the wake of pain. Hello, family. Kindly share with us your thoughts, comments, or opinion. We'd be glad to hear from you on these stories. Thanks for watching Stories with Pablo. Please subscribe and leave us a like. It means a lot to us. You can also share this video with your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss our future videos. Thank you for doing so.